Despite all the lovely promises from the former Health Secretary Sajid Javid that the woke NHS is over, well, no, the woke NHS is back by hiring many more diversity officers and managers. Yes, the establishment strikes back. The woke NHS is not going anywhere. And we did say, it's a classic I told you so story on this channel, that I knew they're not going to keep their promises. You had Sajid Javid, and I don't even remember who the Prime Minister was at the time. It's so hard to keep up. I think it was Liz Truss, or might have been Boris Johnson, but it was very recently. They came and they said, we are officially stopping the NHS diversity programs. They are no longer going to be hiring any more diversity officers or managers. So we are all excited, saying, yes, we are saving money for the taxpayer, but also just stopping nonsense inside the NHS. Well, bad news, everybody, because the new health secretary, which I keep forgetting about, because they keep changing it every 10 minutes, Stephen Barclay, has decided to turn the blind eye. And he still has some time to stop this. We'll give him some time. I'll give him a couple of weeks. No, that's too long. I'll give him a few days because this news has now been published. He should know about it. He should know that they have now decided in the NHS and the bureaucrats and civil servants to hire 16 new diversity officers worth £700,000 worth of salaries with the same price and the cost that you have for these guys. You could literally hire 6 GPs or 19 nurses or 20 paramedics. You could literally hire those guys instead. But you are creating more admin role. And it's not just basic bureaucracy. It's diversity program. What are they planning to do? God knows. The only thing that we know that they're doing is that the infiltration from the hard left that started since the 50s and 60s. They started early. They infiltrated, as I always say, academia, media, culture, and the political system and the education system in general. They are winning. They are winning the argument, as Jeremy Corbyn would say. But we have to fight back. The centre-right and the right-wingers might be winning at the ballot paper, a ballot box, usually, because the actual left-wing can't really win. But they're already winning because they're already inside the establishment. They're everywhere. It's really interesting to see the salaries, for example. Nurses get, like, in terms of like big numbers, 37k, when it comes to the high average. Paramedics, up to £36,000. GPs, 112. But then you have equality, diversity, and inclusion specialists, whatever that means. They get £77,000. Group Associate Director of Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion. What is this? £64,000. I thought the Group Associate Director should get more, but okay. It's got the word director in it, I don't know. Equality, Diversity, Inclusion, and Engagement Manager, £55,000. Why is it that every time the titles get better, the money gets lower? I don't understand. I'm guessing the intern will get £100,000. But it's not a good look for the country, and it's not good for the taxpayers, and it's not good for the health of the NHS, because, of course, when we say we have to reform the NHS, or basically destroy it and start from scratch, and go with best practice. When I say this, people panic and say, oh, you want the American system. It's expensive and people die on the streets. No one wants that expensive system. We want the best practice from Western Europe and Northern Europe. You've got places like Switzerland, even France, and parts of the Nordic countries like Denmark. Their systems work. Get the best practice and apply it to the United Kingdom. When we say we want to help the healthcare system and destroy the NHS bureaucracy, we are saying it to help not just the taxpayers, but also the patients, but also the nurses and doctors, the good ones who actually want to get on with the job. They are under so much pressure from the bureaucracy, but it's become a political tool. And people just use it to score political points and say, well, it's Team Blue's fault or Team Red's fault. It's all of you. It's the fault of the whole system and the politicians who are turning a blind eye on a failed model that's no longer working. Even Bevan wouldn't have wanted this sort of NHS. It was supposed to be a safety net, not for a billionaire to go and use the NHS. If you're a billionaire, use your own money and go to the private sector. But the system doesn't allow you to opt out anyway, so you're already paying for it just to use it. It's nonsensical. The funding doesn't have to change in terms of the university. It could remain universal. You could all still have universal access. No one wants anybody to die in the street. No one wants that. But the system, the actual management, must change. You can't have a diversity manager making more money than a nurse. It's a bit weird. I need a break. So I'm going to take a quick break. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Maya Tousi and we are the media.